50% of the total U.S. land area is used to produce food. At present, the U.S. livestock population consumes more than 7 times as much grain as is consumed directly by the entire American population. There is a consequence not just in our health, but also on what it means to the environment in order to farm all these animals. It should not surprise you that the price in environmental destruction and consequences is beyond anything that the people who began large-scale industrialized animal agriculture 80 years ago envisioned. The first step in animal agriculture is that native forests have to be cleared for growth of crops to feed the animals, as well as to allow sufficient pastures to house and grow them. Professor Pimentel is Professor Emeritus from Cornell University.
We feed 280 million metric tons of grain to our livestock. That's enough grain to feed 800 million people as vegetarians. As you know, the World Health Organization reports that 3.7 billion people out of 6.5 billion total, so it's near 60% of the world population are now malnourished. The largest number of malnourished people ever in the history of the earth.
It may not seem that important to cut native forests. Trees will grow again, you might say. What is the big deal about cutting trees? Getting rid of forests is a huge deal for the following reasons. Natural forests catch water from rain and snowmelt. This not only prevents the water from running off, causing soil erosion, the water held by the dense forest floor replenishes underground reserves and evaporates to form clouds. Clouds not only bring more rain, recycling water naturally, they also prevent heating of the earth by the sun. Professor Tom Lyons holds an established chair within the School of Environmental Science at Murdoch University in Australia. His interest is concentrated on the lowest 200 meters of the atmosphere where we all live and is directed towards the solution of environmental problems.
When you change an agricultural surface or a native vegetation surface, you're actually changing the climate of the region.
The cooler temperatures prevent drying. Higher temperatures lead to extremes of climate and specifically droughts. By catching water naturally, forests also prevent major and catastrophic flooding. Natural forests take 200 years and more to reach significant maturity to act as efficient catchers of water. They also make soil as a result of the dead leaves and branches falling to the forest floor. These decompose to form natural fertilizer and eventually nutrient-rich soil.
And it takes 500 years to replace 1 inch of topsoil. And so you can't wait for that. So it's a terribly serious problem.
According to Tim Flannery, when measured over a century-long timescale, methane is 60 times more potent at capturing heat energy than carbon dioxide, but it lasts only 8 years in the atmosphere.
The animals we raise for food produce huge amounts of manure. In fact, these industrial animal factories that are primarily used to raise animals for food in the developed world need to store these feces in huge acres and acres of cesspool, which they euphemistically call lagoons. And these, of course, befoul the air around them, but also release large amounts of methane and also huge amounts of nitrous oxide. These are released not just from the lagoons themselves, but also when these feces are spread over the huge amounts of cropland that must be used to raise plants to feed the animals. Nitrous oxide is about 300 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. When it comes to methane, about 37% of the world's methane emissions come from animal agriculture, and about 70% of the world's nitrous oxide emissions come from animal agriculture. These gases, which are produced in smaller quantities than carbon dioxide but are far more powerful, have a huge effect. And because their power, and because they come mostly from animal agriculture, it makes this sector of the economy important to target in any effort to address this serious global crisis.
The average meat consumption in the 1950s was 170 kilos, or 374 pounds per person per year in the United States. Today this figure is 277 kilos, or 610 pounds per person per year. This massive increase, when taken into account with the ever-growing world population, means that unfathomable numbers of animals have to be grown and killed on a daily basis. In the United States alone, it was estimated that 1 million chickens were killed every hour in the year 2000. The worldwide figures for the number of animals killed every day to end up in supermarkets, restaurants, and in your home is staggering.
Around the world, about 60 billion animals are slaughtered every year for food. And that doesn't even include all the animals that don't make it to slaughter. In the United States alone, more than 10 billion animals every year are killed for food. If you just compare this to the population of the Earth of humans of just 6 billion, you realize that the number is so vast that it's hard to conceive of.